All right, we will call to order our regularly scheduled zoning hearing board meeting for August 22nd. Uh, Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, our next agenda item is solicitor announcements.
Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to go over a couple quick ways of participating tonight. There are two ways that you can participate in a zoning hearing board meeting. One is generally public comment, which means that you can come up, give a statement about the application, whether you're in support of or against the application. The second way of participating tonight is a heightened sense of participation, which is called party status. There are forms up there in the front if you would like to request party status tonight, and that means you have a particular interest or you were particularly affected by an application. This generally means that you live in close proximity, or you have another way of being particularly affected by the application. This gives you the right to interview or question witnesses. It gives you the right to the decision after the decision has been rendered, the written decision, and it gives you appeal rights if you are unhappy with how the decision went. Once again, the party status forms are up the front. If you plan to participate in any of the applications tonight under party status, I ask that you please fill that out prior to the application and then hand that up to the board at that time. And that is all that I have.
Okay, so we will move on to our hearings. First one is 8-1 of 23, application of Beliga Urena for a variance from section 550-33A to permit relief from the required parking regulations for a daycare facility, and a variance from section 550-8B to allow two permitted principal uses on one lot. This property is situated at 7701 Westchester Pike, Upper Darby, PA. It's a C1 commercial district and in the 4th Council District.
Before we get started, I'd like to enter a few exhibits on behalf of the board. ZHB 1, I would like to enter the application, ZHB 2, the notice photos, and ZHB 3, proof of publication.
Hello? Okay. Good evening. Kenneth Snyder on behalf of the applicant. I'm joined by my client to my left, Ms. Urena. Would you like a brief opening statement?
Sure.
So, as the application states, these are two things. The first would be seeking a variance from the parking regulations. Based on the layout of the lot, there isn't sufficient space where my client intends to build a daycare facility in order to fit on-site parking per the requirements of the code. However, there are ample public accommodations within 200 feet of the entrance, roughly 15 to 18 spots, but I can't give you an exact number without a surveyor. Furthermore, my client wishes to use a dual use of the property, to live in it and to use it as a daycare, where the bottom basement would be the daycare and the rest would be residence. These are hardships because without either one of them, my client wouldn't be able to operate the facility as planned. Building such a daycare is in high demand in this day and age, where most parents require 2 incomes to support a family. Everyone's back in the office for the most part, so daycares are in high demand. It would not alter the character of the neighborhood. Nothing physically would have to be done. There is no construction requirements, just a change of the use of the property. And
Can
if
we,
I-
can we swear her in?
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Can I have your name, please?
Belgica Urena.
Now, Ms. Urena, do you own 7701 Westchester Pike?
Yes, I do.
And you plan on building a daycare facility or using that property for a daycare facility, is that correct?
That is correct.
And currently, the property, can you tell me a bit about the parcel, what corner it's on, what the general layout of the property is?
Yes, the property is located on 7701 Westchester Pike, is located on the corner, and then the crossing block is Inglewood.
Is what? Sorry.
Inglewood,
Okay, and on the parcel itself, is there sufficient parking spaces in order to have, per the code, on-site parking
yes, there is.
on the site of your property?
No, not on the site.
What about in the general vicinity? What is the parking situation like in the area?
In the facility, on the side street of Inglewood, there is ample parking, about maybe 15 to 18 spots. And most people in the area have garages.
Is there also public transportation available in the area?
Yes, on Westchester Pike, there's a lot of public transportation, and I believe maybe 4 or 5 buses run past the actual house.
Now, if the board were to grant this variance and you opened, do you anticipate the use of a lot of parking spaces all day long?
No, I don't. I anticipate using maybe 2 spaces, if that much, because I won't have a lot of employees.
And furthermore, most people that would need to park, they're very transient, right? They just pick up in the morning, drop off at night. They're not parking all day, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Hold on one second. We're getting some background noise with feedback. I'm sorry. It's just hard for us to hear everybody. And I forgot to ask, since I've already interrupted you, is anybody seeking party status on this application, on application 8-1 for 7701 Westchester Pike? All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Now, this property at Westchester, this is your only property, correct?
That is correct.
And this is your residence?
That is correct.
And if this variance wasn't granted, you would have to either abandon your plans or buy another property or rent another one, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Now, based on the fact that there's no construction required, that nothing would really have to change with the neighborhood, and that the fact that the parking and the use would be seldom interfered with by anyone else, do you anticipate making much of a nuisance or causing problems for any neighbors if these plans were to go forward?
No, I do not.
No further questions if the board would like to jump in.
So I have a couple questions. So the property is in a R1 residential, C1 commercial district. What is the current use of the property?
What's it currently being used for?
I currently live there.
So it's currently set up as a residence,
That is correct.
and it has always operated as a residence
That I'm not sure of.
from your ownership?
Yes, that is correct.
How long
And
ago? When did you buy it?
March of 2003.
2003? Okay.
And is there currently parking on the property for the residential use?
Just one parking spot.
23? I think he said 2003.
Oh,
Just to correct that, she meant to say 2023, not 2003.
Yeah. Okay, so just a couple of quick questions. Are the parking spots that are on, I'd assume when you were talking about 200 feet, you were talking about Englewood's parking spots?
Is that correct? Is it Englewood's parking?
that is
spot?
correct.
Okay. And those aren't metered parking spots, those are residential?
Residential.
Okay. So I guess I just have a couple of quick questions about how your business would operate the drop-off. So just say for a hypothetical, to Englewood, which is the house that's directly next to your business, is having a party, a graduation party. So all the residential parking is full. How would you plan to have parents drop off their kids and pick them up later in the day if you ran into the situation where all that residential parking is full?
So in the area, there is a lot of parking, not just on Inglewood, but there is parking around the corner, to the left, to the right, just all around, all residential parking.
I have a question. Did I hear you correct to say that you are going to have the daycare run in your basement?
Yes, that is correct.
How many egresses do you have for that?
Well, we are here to get approved for the zoning first, and then if it's approved, then we will look into that after it's approved.
So they would come in the garage, what had been the garage?
Well, they will come, there's a door that leads to the basement. There's a basement door.
You have multiple ways into the building, is that correct?
That is correct, but the other entrance will be my way into the house.
Oh, so it's one on each level currently?
Yes.
Are the kids coming in the front way then, and then going up those steps to then go downstairs?
No, they will come in through the basement door.
Is the basement door existing or is it?
Yes, that is correct.
I had an additional follow-up. Would the current existing residential parking spot be considered the loading space that's required under the zoning law for a daycare?
Yes.
Okay. So then I guess I'll just follow up the question, where did you park your car, I'd assume?
Well, it all depends. Sometimes I may park directly on Inglewood. It all depends. It's just public parking.
Which street is the entrance to the daycare going to be on? Is it on Englewood?
That is correct.
So it is two-way parking, or excuse me, two-way driving on that street is two-way?
That is correct.
And there's parking on one side?
Yes.
So if someone were to drop their kid off, I assume they're going to be small where they're going to need assistance into the building?
Yes, that is correct.
So would they have to find a parking space, or are you going to have them load, as Kyle said, in that one loading space? Because the idea of a loading space is that it's a space, you know, to in this case, the goods are the kids, where you would stop, you would unload whatever you're unloading, a la the kids, and then you would, you know, move away from that space. But if that is being used as the one loading area,
So I never anticipated on having a loading space, just having parents park and walk their children into the facility.
and how many children are you planning on having?
I plan on having about 10 to 15 children.
And are typical drop-off times similar? Like, you know, is there a typical drop-off time? Most people drop their kids off.
I think she's asking, is it one time or is it like a
No,
spectrum,
so
an area?
it's a spectrum. So parents would typically drop their kids off between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., 6 a.m. through 8 a.m.
And then pickup?
And pickup time would be between 4 p.m. and 6:30 p.m.
So it's sort of in the same time. In the morning, you would anticipate that, because this is more residential neighborhood, that some of those spaces, since you don't have a whole lot of driveway area, some of those spaces would be taken up by residents on that road?
Yes, some of the spaces would be
So
taken
they would
up.
have to fight for the spots that may be available.
Not necessarily, because most people use their garages to park.
Most people on that street use driveways and garages?
Yes,
So most of the public parking is mostly unused on a typical day?
that is correct.
I just have to give a comment here that I found that parking is very tight in most of our residential communities, and I did not observe this to be any different.
I have a question. You said you plan to have 10 to 15 kids. How many staff do you anticipate having on a daily basis?
I plan on having 2 to 3 staff members.
And you anticipate those staff members also parking on the residential streets?
No, some staff members may use public transportation.
Okay. And then you stated that the hardship is that if this variance is not granted, the house is not sustainable. What- could you clarify your testimony on the hardship?
If it's not granted, then yes, I would have to possibly move to a different location or find a new location for the daycare center.
Or perhaps would you have to spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to retrofit the space in order to make it compliant? Or you haven't budgeted for that?
Yes, that is correct.
Is there a way to make it compliant and meet the parking?
Based on the lot, is there a way to make it compliant, or is it just too tight?
At this time, it's too tight. There is no loading space.
So there's no available room to make a parking lot on the property?
No, there isn't.
You purchased this in March of 2023.
Yes,
Did you anticipate opening a business when you purchased this lot?
yes.
Did you look at any other lots before purchasing this lot for a daycare facility?
Yes.
And what made you choose this lot?
One facility that I looked at is connected to a church, and this will be a nonprofit business. So I have already gone through like the process for the nonprofit. That was approved. However, the church needed a sprinkler system, and it was going to cost over $100,000.
Any other questions? Is there any public comment? No? Go ahead, Kyle.
I have a question. This is, I guess, more to you, Josh. Are any of these streets part of the residential parking permits?
That I do not know off the top of
Okay.
my head.
Sorry.
Not the case. We don't believe that's the case, that they're part of any residential parking permits.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. I will make a motion to deny application 8-1 of 23. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So Bob, I didn't hear your vote, actually. Did you, I guess you
Yeah.
seconded it, so, yeah. Unfortunately, your
Motion.
variances weren't granted, so.
We have 45 days to appeal.
So you will receive a decision within 45 days, and then you will have, I believe it's 30 days to appeal after you receive the written decision.
Thank you for your time. Just would like to add that I believe it would be a public good, but of course, that's your determination as the board, and we'll await your written decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will move on to the next application, 8 Appeal 8-2 of 23, application of Martin and Marianne Gorman for a variance from section 550-10, table 4-1, to permit a 5-foot front yard encroachment. This property is situated at 5228 Olander Road in Drexel Hill, PA. It's in the R1 residential district and in the First Council District.
All right, before we get started, I would like to enter a few exhibits on behalf of the board. CHB 1 will be the application, CHB 2 will be the notice photos, and CHB 3 will be the proof of publication. Before this application gets started, is anybody here seeking party status on this application? Perfect, thank you. Can we get them sworn?
You both raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Marianne, M-A-R-I-A-N-N-E, Gorman, G-O-R-M-A-N.
Martin Gorman, M-A-R-T-I-N, G-O-R-M-A-N.
Okay, unfortunately, we were denied the building permit based on the fact that our property is not 50 feet from the street. However, I'd like to submit to you, and may I come up?
Sure.
Okay. There are some addresses on the reverse side of these that will tell you where these homes are listed.
All right. We will mark these collectively as A1 photos.
So you'll see that in my general area, I have already provided you with 2 homes that have had garage conversions with extensions. Whether they choose to do that in the proper way that my husband and I have, and I certainly hope we are not penalized for that. However, it doesn't matter at this point how they did it. It's just that it's done, so it appears there's a precedence that has been set. In addition to that, I have had my right knee replaced, and I have a plate and screws in my right ankle. I am also in need of a left knee surgery. I have 10 steps heading to my basement, to a powder room. I have 13 heading to my second floor. I would find it very challenging if I was not able to do this conversion. It would also allow my husband and I to stay in that property longer, because if necessary, that room can become, it's currently slotted for a sitting room with a pantry built into it and a full bath. We're looking to do a bedroom into that, because as you see, I already have enough running around to do during the course of the day. I have full-time 24/7, my granddaughter who had just turned 4. So it would really be a hardship, and it would also provide my husband and I with an opportunity to stay in our home for a greater period of time. There's one photo there that doesn't have the address on the reverse side of it. That's located at 5105 Township Line. Do you have it? Yeah, there's one that doesn't have an address. I simply took that picture because it's my understanding that having a porch in the front of your home was fine. That's an obstruction, quite frankly. I mean, I find it really intrusive to look at that property. So I took that picture just to share it with you.
So can you explain the addition itself? So you have an existing garage that you're converting
Yes,
to the sitting room, and I assume the bathroom and
there's a bathroom and a pantry
a
connected.
pantry within that area,
Yes,
and then you are bumping it out. What would be in the bumped out part?
there's going to be the windows, and there's going to be 2 closets. A
And-
3-foot closet on each side.
And the bump out portion that doesn't meet the code, is there, I guess, what specifically about the design of the building requires the bump out?
Just simply the size of it as far as a conversion later on into a bedroom which once again would allow my husband and I to stay in our home longer.
And what would happen if it was not bumped out? Would you not have enough room within?
It's going to be extremely tight,
And how far out is the bump out?
5 feet. And that's also one of the reasons why you see pictures of the vehicles in the driveway. Somebody said something like we had to have 2 cars be able to park. You'll see blue tape in front of the garage. That is the 5 feet that the bump out will come to.
So the one picture that has the 2 cars in the garage, they're behind the blue line?
Yeah, and there's plenty of room for parking 2 vehicles behind that line. And I took a few of those. We do have the luxury of on-street parking. It's not something we typically use.
How many bedrooms is how many bedrooms and bathrooms is the current house?
There are the hall bathroom on the second floor, 3 bedrooms, and a powder room in the basement. I'm sorry, there's also a full bath off our master bedroom. So there's 2.5 at this time. None on the first floor.
Just a quick question. You probably already have explored this, but did you ever, or did you price out what a stair lift might be as a relative comparison?
I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
A stair lift?
Did I
A
price
lift?
the stair lift?
No. I'm asking to use a stair lift to go from your first floor up to your second floor.
I would find that intrusive in my home. That's the truth.
Your opinion.
I have a question. Is any of this work started? Because I just noticed that there were some tiles and things outside from the pictures that you showed us.
Those tiles were in the garage,
Okay.
and they're still sitting out there today
Previous customer.
from the previous owner.
Okay. And is that picture of your husband?
Yes,
there
it
by
is.
the van? Oh, okay. And are you a contractor, or were you a contractor? Just out of curiosity?
No, it's
Okay.
Martin Gorman Painting.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
heard of it, okay. Yeah, I was just wondering.
He's not the contractor that's been hired to do that.
That's not what I was gonna ask or imply, but okay.
He can come into the 11th hour and paint the walls. That's about it.
Okay.
I can identify with that.
Does anybody else have any questions? Is there any public comment on this application? Yeah, go ahead.
One more question. Out of the photos, which of the photos do you think your modification will resemble? Because I know you said one was an intrusion or obnoxious. I just didn't know which one it was, so I'm wondering which one of the,
Oh, that's the one that's on Township Line. It's a rather, it almost looks like a doctor's office attached to a house. It does not have an address on the reverse side.
Oh, is
That's
that
it.
the one? You
That's
were
at 5105 Township Line.
Well, that's the one you would not look like. Would yours-
Absolutely not.
you would look like Durman Road. Is that the one you're referring to?
Probably,
Okay.
yes. I would say that's a fair statement.
Okay.
Take her out, please.
One last question.
You're excused.
And just to confirm, the reason why you need a variance to build this is because your front yard is less than 50 feet
That's correct.
and you purchased your property like that?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
with no clue at the time that I was going to need a second knee.
What'd you say?
Okay,
What did you say? I
I
couldn't.
said at that time, I had no idea I needed a second knee.
okay. I don't think, and no other comments from the audience, members of the board. I would make a motion to approve Appeal 8-2 of 23. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. 3-0, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
You'll receive a written decision within 45 days.
Have a great evening, council.
Okay, so we will move on to our next hearing. 8-3 of 23, application of Pastor Ben Olemi, sorry, I'm gonna mess up your name, Olikani, for a variance from section 550-8A, table 3-1, to permit use of religious assembly in the R1 district, and a variance from section 550-33A to permit 6 off-street parking spaces where 57 are required. The property is situated at 2300 Garrett Road in Drexel Hill, PA. It's in the R1 residential district and in the 5th council district.
I do have some handouts.
Sure. While we get those handouts, I'd like to enter a few exhibits into the record. Yes, thank you. CHB1 will be the application, CHB2 will be the notice photos, and CHB3 will be the proof of publication. And are you all right, sir, if we collectively mark these as applicants 1?
Yes.
We'll name it A1, the applicant's packet. Before we get started, is there anybody seeking party status tonight on this application? All right, I will call, you can come up first. All right, did you fill out a form for me?
I did.
Perfect. Can you take that form? And then if you could use the microphone right there. Can you state your name and spell it for the record?
Andrew Heyman. It's Andrew, last name Hayman.
And what's your address?
309 Edmonds Avenue, Drexel Hill.
And how close are you to the subject property?
As the crow flies, probably 3/4 of a mile, but I'm here tonight, not only my capacity as a township resident, but as a council member which represents this district and represents the building where this is being proposed.
So typically, when representing as council sends someone. So are you representing as a local resident in the township who has particular interest in this application?
I'm here tonight as voice for my constituents who will be affected by this application.
I would like to register an objection here.
You'd like to register an objection? What's your objection?
My objection is he's too far away. I mean, party status should be somebody very near. I would assume within a block or so. I think this is a little bit too far away.
Your objection is noted. Sure, Bob.
What is the boundary lines of your council responsibility?
That's, so I would make a motion, I would recommend that the board deny this party status. But it's up to the board on how you want to proceed with it.
I guess, so you would need a motion to deny that? So I would make a motion to deny party status. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. So party status. All those opposed? So 2-1, Party status is denied. You still can comment publicly during public comment. You just,
I will, don't worry.
yeah. Mhm.
All right, sir. Can you please state your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Tony Beatty.
What is it? I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Tony Beatty.
Spell your last name, please.
B as in boy, E-A-T-Y.
And did you fill out a party status form?
Yes, ma'am.
May I have it, please? Thank you, sir. Oh, I appreciate that. And what's your address?
346 Owen Avenue.
And how close are you to the subject property?
About 50 feet, 50 to 100.
Okay. I would recommend that the board grant this party status.
Is there
No
any
objection.
objection? I would grant party status. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you, sir. I will,
okay.
you can go back to your seat. We'll give you a call when
Okay.
it's time to participate. Anybody else seeking party status on this application? Seeing none.
Go ahead, you can present.
Good evening. My name is John Custer. I'm attorney for Ben Alicani, who is the applicant. The location we're concerned with is 2300 Garrett Road. There is now a commercial building located there, even though the zoning is R1, and that's currently being used as a dentist office. Almost the entire block of Garrett Road where the building is located is commercial as well. And there is commercial C1 across the street. As you mentioned, we are requesting two variances. One is a use variance for use of a church, and the other is a parking variance.
The other is a what?
Parking variance. I always try to speak up. I do that. We would like to swear in the applicant, but he would like to affirm rather than swear.
Can you raise your hand, please? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Olayemi Olukoni.
Now, Mr. Alicani, your use variance is because you want to have a church.
Yes.
Okay. In the exhibits A7 and A8, well, disregard that. Who will own the building?
Deeper Life Bible Church.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Who owns the building? Who will own the building?
And what did you say?
Deeper Life Bible Church.
Deeper Life Bible Church. And do you own the building at the present time?
No. we just-
You're under an agreement of sale?
Yes. agreement of
Okay.
sale, yeah.
I've included those in the exhibits as A7 and A8. Now, is this a new church, or are you moving from another area?
We are moving from 601 Upland Avenue. It's a lease property that we're using now. We're moving from 601 Upland Avenue in Upland to this building.
Now, how many are in your congregation, adults and children?
Currently, the adults, we have about 10, between 10 and 12 adults. We have children and youths. So the total should be like 30, 35.
And how many normally show up to your church on Sunday? Adults.
Attendance in person should be like 20, 25.
And how many of those will be adults?
Adults will be like 10, 20.
Okay. Okay. And how many days will this building be used?
Currently, we meet just on Sundays. The rest of the week, we meet online. Since after COVID, we'll be meeting online. Actually, we started in-person church, I think, last year. So we'll be meeting online all through after the COVID. But currently, we meet once a week on Sundays.
So the only impact on the community will be on Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. Do you expect to do anything to the outside of the building?
No, no.
Okay. And could you describe the immediate neighborhood, first, the block on which the building is located?
The building is located on Garrett Road and Owens Road. Yeah.
And what is the character of the neighborhood? Is it commercial?
Commercial. On the other side, we have a building, we have a clock shop, we have a dental store, we have a pregnancy store there. So most of the buildings there, they are all commercial.
Do you recall the businesses on your side of the street?
Can you see that?
The business on your side of the street? What, is it, I looked it up, Garrett Bar, Dora's Bakery, and Tamco Martial Arts. Is that correct to your
Yes,
knowledge?
correct.
Okay. Have you looked at other churches in the neighborhood?
Yes, we checked up other churches. About a few meters away from there, we have about 2 Catholic church. As you drive up to those churches, 2 churches that we saw on Garrett Road, there was no parking. They don't have any parking space. I guess they park on the street.
Okay, was that, they're located at 3000 Garrett Road and 337 Riverview
Yeah.
Avenue?
There's one incarnation of Holy Sacrament, something like that.
Okay,
Yeah, and all that.
okay. And how many parking spaces do you have on the property?
In front of the property, we have about 5 or 6
That's on the street?
on the street.
Mhm.
Okay, on the street, we have the public parking, I think about 6. Then in front of the property, we have about 5 parking spaces in front of the property.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you say there's parking spaces in the back as well?
On the side.
Oh, okay.
On the side.
Yeah, you guys are not getting together in which is which. There's 6 parking spots. Is that on the side or is that?
On the side.
Okay.
Those are metered,
Yeah.
metered parking spots.
Okay. And how about in the back of the property?
The back of the property is on the side, not
Okay, all right.
in the front of the property.
Yeah,
In the front of the property, that is the parking that belongs to the property, for the building.
okay,
So that should be like for 5 to 6
all right,
cars.
okay. And that shows on exhibits A1 to A3. You can see that. And what happens on Sunday? Is there space available on Garrett Road so that people can park
On the
there if they
streets,
have
on
to?
Garrett Road,
Yeah,
most of the buildings are commercial and they don't open
Yeah.
on Sundays. So I believe if we have excess need for additional parking, we can
okay,
park on
okay.
Garrett Road. Yeah.
That's in exhibits A11 and A12, showing practically no one on the street on Sunday. Now, how will members get to the church on Sunday?
Currently, we have a church van that can take 15 people. And the rest of us that are adults, we have about 6 cars.
Okay, so of the members of your church, I guess other than yourself, how many members have cars?
About 6.
6, okay. So that's 23 potentially. Now, are there any other off-street parking spaces available? Have you looked into that at all?
I talked to the commercial places off street. The pregnancy center agreed that we could use the parking space at the back of the building. They have about 4 parking spaces at the back of the building. So I spoke to the director and she agreed we can
Okay,
use it on Sunday.
all right.
because they don't open on Sundays.
Yeah. And if it turns out that you need more parking spots, what would you intend to do then?
If we need more, currently,
Yeah.
currently,
You've only talked to a few of the businesses already.
yeah,
Yeah.
currently, I don't envisage we having more than 10
Yeah,
parking
yeah,
spaces.
it seems like it.
But in the future, if there's a need for that, I was talking to YMCA and the person said they're gonna get back to me. So those are the places I'm
Yeah,
looking.
yeah,
The YMCA is like few meters away from the place.
okay. Now, are you going to give any of the members instructions on where to park?
Yes, I will.
And then it would be only on Garrett Road?
Yes.
Or nearby? So that you would not expect anybody to be parking on, say, Owen Avenue?
No, we'll not expect our members
All
to
right.
park on.
All right. And even if they have to pay the park in the meters on Garrett Road?
The church will take care of
You'll take care of that?
the amount they're gonna spend to park on the meter road.
Okay. So it would seem that the parking will improve from the previous use on all days except Sunday.
Improvement will be just within the building. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you've already spoken that the character of your block and across the street is commercial. Do you think your use would change that character at all?
No, it's just commercial, we're not, no, not for residential.
Is the property suitable for your intended use as a church?
Correct, that's correct. It's
And,
suitable.
what was the use before?
It was, I believe it was used for a dental office
Yep.
before.
Yeah. And will your request for variance serve the interests of the township and the public health, safety, morals, and welfare?
Yeah, we're requesting for a variance.
And do you think your use will detract from the use of surrounding properties?
I don't believe the use is gonna detract the community.
Yeah. You're going to make sure that there's no parking in the residential areas?
We not park, will not, our members will not be allowed to park in the residential area.
All right. Will your use affect highway congestion?
No, we don't have to say that.
Yeah. There's not much traffic on Sundays anyway around that location. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe on Sunday there shouldn't be much traffic in that place.
Yeah. Is it even possible for the property to be used for residential purposes?
Property, we are not gonna use it for residential.
Okay. But the building itself doesn't seem that it's amenable to residences, right?
No, it's just offices and there is a place that, a hall that we can use for the church auditorium.
Okay. Did the variance represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and the least modification possible?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
All right. No further questions.
Okay, we will open it up for board questions first, and then I will get to you, Mr. Beatty? Okay.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. So you mentioned that you talked to at least one of the properties across the street?
I did talk to, I think 2 or 3 people. The first person I talked with is I think a clock store. She mentioned that the person that who gave me the answer wasn't available, and I could speak to that person. The person is going to be available next week. So I talked to the pregnancy center, the director spoke to me, and she said she's okay with it. The only thing is that if the people come to park there, they have to be careful because during the snow, things like that, that's what she mentioned. But she wasn't, she was okay with parking there on Sundays.
And if they were to park over there, how would they get across?
There is a place, when you drive on Garrett Road, there's a place you can get inside at
Is
the
there,
back of the building.
is there a crosswalk?
No, it's a driveway.
But there's no
a
crosswalk.
A crosswalk across Garrett Road that they can use.
Oh, okay, okay.
Is
No,
that a safe location for crossing? I mean, I know that that intersection regularly backs up, and there's a lot of traffic on Garrett Road.
Yeah, it is on a
And
Sunday,
and
though.
if you have parking on either side, you know, the parallel street parking on the meters, is there any blocking, you know, would they be able to see someone coming across an unregulated crosswalk area?
I believe the crosswalk will be on the, towards the Lansdowne area.
So they would have to walk all the way down to Lansdowne and then back over to your building to safely cross?
Yeah,
They have a pretty good sight distance, don't they? Isn't Garrett Street straight? They can see both sides as to
yeah,
where
on
to go.
Sunday, I believe also that the traffic will not be so much, it's easy for anybody to cross. And,
That intersection backs up all the way to the next intersection on a regular basis.
On Sundays?
On Sundays, yes, going to the grocery store, I've never not seen it back up. All the way to whatever that next intersection is.
Yeah, I think we have enough parking spaces on our side to take care of things.
How many parking spaces do you have? 6?
10. 10 on the property itself,
And you're required to have 57.
we are. However, given the small congregation, there is enough parking spaces for what's there.
So if your congregation becomes popular,
Okay?
and your, you know, membership increases, how would you deal with that extra parking?
I think one of the things we would do is petition for a crosswalk to start with. Then we would deal with additional parking spaces wherever they are. There are 4 or 5 commercial buildings next
that's-
to ours. Is there parking in the back there?
Yeah, parking in the back.
But you don't know how many parking spaces are back
Each
there?
of those buildings, they have about 4 parking spaces across the property. The commercial property, they have about 4 parking spaces at the back.
Have you had an engineer look at the crossing at that location, which would be extremely difficult?
The engineer only look at our property.
I think in the worst-case scenario, we would have to petition for a crosswalk. But I don't see that need at the present time.
I mean, I think your proposal is based off the fact that you are planning to use those spaces at this point. That's what was stated as testimony. That's what I'm saying. If that is the plan, at this time, when we're making that decision, it would be nice to have that information.
Yeah, what we said, I believe, is that we use those spaces if necessary. But we do have a van for 15 people. We have only 6 parishioners that have cars, and we've got space for 10 parking spots.
So that's
on site.
currently, there's
Yeah.
parishioners with 6
That's true.
cars.
Yep.
But there's nothing that prohibits your parishioners from having cars and
No.
attending on their own.
Yeah, that's
Vehicle.
correct.
Have you looked at any other locations that would be more suitable? Or what about this location was suitable for your type of congregation or business?
Yeah, we've viewed different properties in the past. We have not been able to find, currently we've not been able to find properties suitable, except this one.
Have you looked at any other properties?
Yeah, we viewed some properties in the past. So when those properties that we saw in the past, is either a problem with the space, I mean, inside the building, or a problem with the way it's structured, the church. We just have some concern with some of the property we saw in the past.
I have some questions. How many cubic feet do you need, or how many square feet do you need for your congregation?
I believe we need more than 4,000 square feet. This one is 5,000 plus, more than 5,000 square feet. This property is further. So we need more than 4,000 square feet.
I have a couple very, very quick questions. Regarding the, I guess what we were talking about is the parking spots and future growth. How many seats are going to be in your auditorium hall?
Like 40?
40, okay, so you could have 40 people there at any given time.
No, we don't have 40 people now.
Well, but you're building for 40 is
Yeah.
the point. I know everyone else has a lot of questions. I'll come back to me.
I have questions around, so they already addressed future growth of your congregation. And then you said there are 10 spots on the premises currently, parking spots?
Yes, in the front and on the side.
So in the front are the metered spots, right?
Yes.
So what if those spots are occupied? And I come down that road all the time. And I've seen them occupied, especially because I think there's a restaurant a few doors down, so people attending the restaurant or right next door occupy those spaces. And I'm not just saying on Sunday, but I do see them occupied Sunday as well. And then I'm looking at the parking lot and I see 6 bumps. So I didn't know if those other 4 were inside of that space or were you talking about on the street? And then because of, I know Owens very well, this new, I guess, slow down the driving and speed bumps that's on Owens right now, and you now cannot turn left. I just think that's a very tight, congested area, and people can't even park on that side of the street where your church is unless they go further in. And the driveway is a driveway, not a space for parking. And it looks like it has access to the other buildings. So where are you getting 10 spaces currently outside of the metered parking spaces?
The in front of the building, I mean, between Owen Street and Garrett Road, in front of the building, it can take about 5 cars.
But that's not a guaranteed parking for your church. That's public street.
No, that one is not public. The one that is public is on the Garrett Road.
Right, that's what I'm referring to. So aren't you talking about Garrett Road?
The one on Garrett Road is a meter parking, which is public. Anybody can park there.
Right.
But between the property and Owen Street, there's a space in front of the building that can take 5 cars.
I must be missing something.
That space is for the,
So he's talking
that
about,
space is
so
for
on
the
the side
property.
of, on the side of Owens.
Yeah.
I believe that's 6
That's on
cars.
your property.
Yes, that's
So
on the property.
6.
Yeah.
That's 6. They have that, I don't know what it's called, but it's a
Curb
bump, curb
Yeah.
stop. And there are 6 of them there.
Yes.
So where are you getting the other 4?
Also, on this, between the property and the next building, there is a space where we can park there also.
On Garrett?
No, not
No.
on that. Between the.
The other
between
side of the
property
building.
and side, on Owen Street, yeah.
So you're talking about the alleyway?
Yeah.
That's isn't that a driveway though?
I think that's on A3 if you'd like to look at it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, I'm blowing it up, and it looks like it's a driveway because others can access it as well. So if a
Right.
car is parked back there, I do see cars on the right of the house, that first house. But if a car is parked there on the side of your church for future growth, that would block the access to that driveway, alleyway, whatever you want to call it, wouldn't it?
And then if someone wants to leave, you may be blocked in. It's not really a parking space.
Right.
It doesn't have the proper exit lanes, or it's really an alleyway. It's not a parking area.
Right.
Is there any signage on that alleyway that may say no parking
I don't see
On the
anything.
street, no?
Yeah.
on the building?
This is your property here?
Yeah. So there's this side,
Yeah.
there's a parking.
Is there parking in the back here
Yeah,
too?
yeah. No, not, this is the next building. So between this building and this, one can park.
So on
just-
Exhibit A3, if you look at it, your Exhibit A3,
It's just,
Okay.
yep.
there's a couple of, it looks like parking, some sort of sign. Are those no parking signs?
Okay, this is the back, right? This is the back.
Yeah, this is the back.
Oh, this is the back.
Yeah, this
okay.
is the 6 parking spaces here.
Okay.
So you have this area. I guess if someone had to park, they could go over here. Is that your
Yeah.
property as well or not?
This, all this, this is the building, right?
Yep.
So all these places.
Can you,
so we can park
please
there.
not converse?
Oh, okay.
Because she's trying to take notes, so if you're going to make comment,
Okay.
make sure that,
We were just getting things together. Sorry.
Okay. so are those no parking signs on the building? It does look like there's some sort of signage on the side of the building or on that alleyway side of the building that may,
I don't see any sign, no signs.
there's at least 3 of them. They're in between the building, they're in between the windows.
Oh, okay.
If you look at your Exhibit A3,
Yeah, I see.
there's little white, you
Okay.
can't see what they say, but they're little signs, it appears, in between those windows. Are you aware what those signs say?
No, I'm not. I don't know what.
That might, if it is a no parking, it could be to keep third parties out. To keep third parties from parking there.
Could also,
Doesn't it access to another street? So wouldn't the driveway, are you aware of if it's owned by you? Or is it just an access alleyway that is public?
No, this one, yeah.
Do you have a property line?
It's not for the public. This place is not for the public. This is for the property.
Is there any access from someone else to come down here?
like trash pickup,
No. Is this,
Are your
dumpsters.
dumpsters located back there?
no, there's no dumpsters, no dumpsters here.
Where would your trash facilities be?
We still have to place it there.
Would they have to be in that alleyway?
I guess so.
And since there is the new traffic island in the middle of, is that Owens?
Owen,
In the middle of Owens, so if the trash truck, that's the only way that they could access the property, because they couldn't cross over because of that island. So they would have to come through and then go down the alleyway?
But I don't think they do that on Sundays.
Yeah, we're only using that on Sunday. And during the week, that whole area will be open.
So you would have no other weekday events? You wouldn't have any
We do
any
all-
other services, any other congregation meetings, Bible studies?
Do it online now.
So this is a quick question regarding your application. These are just clarifying questions. You stated a church launch area. Could you describe what that entails, a church launch area?
It's gonna be inside the building.
Yeah, but we're asking for like in terms of like people, like usage for people, because I know that there's a child or auditorium as well. Is there going to be daycare services?
No, we don't, we are not having a daycare.
How many children do you expect to be in the building on Sundays?
Currently, our children should be like 12 or 15.
12, 15?
Yeah.
And are they going to be coming via public transit, or are they going to be driving? Are they going to be dropped off by their parents?
Most of them come through the church van.
Okay.
Some come with their parents. Yeah.
Okay. How many staff, I mean, and staff might not be the best word, but how many people would be working with your organization there on Sunday?
The people the adults that are with us, they are all volunteers. They're working as volunteers. So currently we have like 10, 12 adults.
And that,
Out of them, like, let's say five people working.
and
That's
so that would be in
included in the 10.
addition,
Including, yeah,
or they included in the congregation?
yes, they are included.
Okay, so they're one and the same. Okay.
I was blowing up as much as I possibly could so I could have visibility on the signage on the back alleyway or driveway of the building. And it looks like it says no parking, each one of those signs. Definitely the first word is 2 letters. I'm going to assume it's NO, but if I can't assume, I just kind of looked at it very closely. And each one of those signs say the same thing, and it looks like the first word is no. So it might say no
I guess that would be
solicitation.
for,
Excuse me?
I guess that would be for a third-party person to park there. Not, it will not be for the people that is gonna.
For the attendees to
Yeah.
the church?
Yeah,
Does that, again, it's a singular lane. How would you configure the parking there? There's certain, have you striped it out? Is there exit lane? So if someone's parked in one of those spots and wants to leave, how do they leave? Do they have to wait for everyone else to leave before they can leave? So it doesn't seem like it would function as parking because it wouldn't meet the standard parking requirements. Egress,
I'm sure there's an
Striping.
easement there. There has to be.
Suppose you park diagonally.
an easement.
yeah.
If I could
think
say
there
so
should be an
assertively, I
exit.
mean, by looking at this, you only have one room
Yeah,
for one
it's-
car to come in and out. Any parking along that will block it
Yeah,
completely.
there is no
There's no,
easement. There is no
parking
egress.
there,
Right, there's no egress.
to be honest.
Okay.
And he need to have
This
an
is the
easement.
fence.
if he's
Yeah.
using somebody
And yeah,
else's.
if you're gonna, right, if you're gonna park on someone else's property, you would need an easement.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the line is.
Fire code.
I mean, it looks like an alleyway. So it looks like everyone has access to it. It doesn't look like a parking area, which is why they have the parking on the side of the building.
Ben, you sent me the sketch plan, but I don't see it in this packet. Right, the drawing of the property? Is that in, do you want me to share that?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
A4 is supposed to be it.
There's something from the county, but it's not a sketch.
Yeah. What period of time is the church?
We don't have that.
Yeah, we don't have that.
12, 10, an hour?
Sir? I think it has been asked before if you had looked at other locations.
Yes. Okay.
You done? I was going to suggest or provide another thought, or maybe you've already tried it, and I'd be interested to hear what your response was. At Shadeland and Garrett is the old Delaware County Health Pavilion. Well, that's what its old name was. And they've closed that, and it's just sitting there. But it has a side parking that is very big.
Sounds great.
Um,
Would you consider talking to them and getting approval to get on that property?
Is it close to that place?
Yeah, how far away is that?
Just down,
Less than a mile.
The next light.
It's actually close to the other properties that you stated
Okay.
as being churches.
That sounds like a very good suggestion.
Do they have a parking space?
that whole pavilion has the parking spaces, and they share it with the one congregation that's, I think it's on River.
I mean, I don't know that we can tell him where to look for a property,
Yeah, I'm just
but
throwing it
um,
out there.
just a couple
We appreciate the offer.
more quick questions. the property as is, could it be used as an office space?
No, we're not using it for.
I understand that, but could it be? So it could be used as an office space?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are a lot
Um,
of offices there inside.
Okay. Does the board have any more questions before I ask Mr. Beatty?
I think-
Beatty?
I think
Beatty.
I'm good right now. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sarah, I keep trying to switch you to Beatty. Would you like to come up and ask your questions? If you wouldn't mind stepping to the side so he can use this microphone.
And if
I
it's
gotta
back and
turn around
forth,
and ask it to him.
they can use that one too.
Yeah, you guys can use these microphones right up here, if you would like to sit there. Switched, it's okay.
So this young lady lives right beside 356 Owen, like right beside the alleyway that you're talking about. She lives right there. She can explain to you how it is because she lives right there.
Is she looking to be party status?
You looking
or
to be party status?
Yes, but he
Her.
told,
her?
okay, I can speak for it, that's fine.
Yeah,
So-
we can take your comments. We'll have a public comment section where you can talk. But if you, I mean, you could certainly apply for party status. If you want to question, party status is the question,
Yes,
the
the applicant.
We got it. I got it. That's fine. So, sir, so I've been a resident of Owen Avenue for 24 years. We have been dealing with traffic issues longer than I've been on that block with my neighbors, over 40 years now. We've had engineers come to that block just recently. He knows that. We've been dealing with this for 40 years. You have no idea how much traffic is on that block. From the commercial properties on Garrett Road that promised that no one would come and park on that block. It's never been true. So the one thing I want to ask you, have you ever been on Garrett Road on Sunday?
Not really.
Okay, so this Sunday, my wife and I was going to Ocean City. I needed to make a right out of the block. This was 11, right? It took me 5 to 10 minutes just to make a right out of Owen Avenue. Just to make that right. The barber shop that's across the street on Garrett Road is open 7 days a week. They also occupied tons of parking spaces because the barber shop is open. In addition to that,
Sir, I'm so sorry to stop you. Questions. I'm going to give you an opportunity to testify,
okay,
but right now we need to keep it to questions for the
gotcha.
applicant.
So I didn't ask him the question.
We got him one.
Okay, so the second one. Okay. So the second question is, do you understand how bad the parking is on Owen Avenue?
No, I don't, because we don't intend to park in that place.
I can just keep going with questions?
Question.
Okay. Well, 2312, which was the restaurant that was on Garrett Road, closed, but it's going to be reopening. When that restaurant reopens, which is open 7 days a week, it's going to occupy the entire Garrett Road parking space. What would you guys do in that situation?
Well, I think that given the amount of people that are coming into church now, we have enough room in the van, we have a certain number of cars, we have parking spaces for at least 6. I think there's going to be more on the side or the back. And we would be looking for spaces along this side of Garrett Road to find parking spaces.
But on the other side of Garrett Road is the barber shop. That driveway that you're talking about with 4 or 5 spaces, the dump truck, which is a regular size trash truck, has to come through there.
Okay?
So it would be no room for parking.
Do they come on
Yeah,
Yes,
the
they come
dump
on
truck
Sundays.
doesn't come on Sunday.
Well, when she come up, she'll explain that to you. Okay, the next question. Did you ever ask the resident of Owen Avenue, how do they feel about something on the corner of their block that's adjacent to Owen Avenue? Something that every business owner that's at Garrett Road has promised us that no one will park there. I can tell you today, everyone parks there from the businesses on Garrett Road. So have you ever spoken to any of us and asked us anything about what you plan on doing?
No, I only spoke to people on Garrett Road.
Okay.
I think we have a little bit more control over the parishioners than people that might come into the various shops.
That wasn't my question, sir. The question was, has he talked to anyone on Owen Avenue to ask us about the parking situation and about what he's planning on doing? Because it's a church, so it's just part of the community, is that correct?
Yeah.
Right, so we're part of the community, is that correct?
Yeah.
So once again, did you ask anyone, any resident on Owen Avenue, what you plan on doing in our community?
Well, I only spoke to people on Garrett Road because we don't intend to kind of go into that to park.
Everyone said that, sir. But we'll move on to the next question. You said you moved from Upland, is that correct? Your business came from Upland?
Yeah.
Okay, so there were two other church, Upland's a pretty distance away. You didn't find anything in between that space?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. So I just want to tell you that it's very congested there. There's nowhere to cross the street. I wouldn't suggest putting any business there, but thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any additional board questions?
I had a question. Is there any plan, so since this is an R1, religious assemblies are required to have a 15-foot wide planted buffer strip along all property lines. Is there any availability on this property for a 15-foot planted buffer? I'd assume that would wipe out the entire lot. Well, not the entire lot, but a good chunk of it. I'd assume no. Okay.
You know. Was that question directed to us, or?
Sorry, yeah, that question was directed to you. So like under the zoning code on the special exceptions for R1, religious assemblies are required to have a 15-foot wide planted buffer strip. And that's required along all property lines. So we would have to grant an additional variance for that as well. Yeah, I would assume there's no room for a 15-foot planted buffer since it's basically right adjacent to the street, right?
Yeah, I don't.
No, we have.
Okay, thank you.
What are the entrances that you're going to have and exits for your building?
Could you repeat the question?
Where are your entrances and exits for your proposed building?
There are two exits, one on the Garrett Road, one on Owens Road.
Okay, and the one that's on the Owen, you have to come down those steps?
Yes,
And that's where you have your parking?
yes. That's correct.
So I have another question. Looking at your exhibits again, Exhibit A6, which is your tax records from the county, it does mention at the bottom that the type of assessment is a taxable commercial, and then it says reason for change, it says court stipulation. So it looks like there was some sort of court stipulated settlement or something that allowed this property to be commercial?
I don't know.
Okay, so I guess my question, it does appear from the county records that it is a commercial property, right? As opposed to
Yeah, it's being
residential.
used as commercial.
It was
it's
an
being
office
taxed as
building.
commercial.
Right,
yes.
it was some sort of medical office building prior, which is, again, a commercial use. So I just had some questions as to, so if this would be C1, I'm going to list a couple of uses, and you could tell me if that would be an acceptable location for that use, right? So in C1, you would be permitted for the commercial uses to have an animal grooming facility. Would that be acceptable at that location?
I don't think we're planning to do that.
Well, that's my question.
No, we are not,
But could an animal grooming facility go in that building?
It
Is
would
it-
have to get a variance.
No, it wouldn't. It's
Okay.
a permitted use
All
in
right.
C1. That's what
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
asking.
But this is not C1.
Well, it appears to be from the court stipulation.
Mm.
There's a court stipulation that allows this to be a commercial property based on your exhibit.
Okay.
So could that property be used for a bakery
As a commercial use?
as a commercial use? Could a bakery go in that location?
Is the building suitable?
Is the building
Okay,
suitable
okay.
for a bakery?
Is there any reason why it couldn't be?
I think if it's approved, they can use it.
Well, apparently it's
But we are not
by
using it for
right.
that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Your exhibit shows that it's a court stipulated commercial use. So these are commercial uses that are acceptable within that commercial
Okay.
Okay.
district. So could you place a barber shop at that location?
Absolutely, I believe that's.
Could you have a bicycle sale or service facility at that location?
Yeah.
How about a catering facility? Yes?
Yes, but we don't, if it's approved, we're not using
Right.
it for any other thing.
I think
except
there might be
church.
one next door.
Yeah.
Could
Like
you
a
have a
barber shop.
could you have a daycare at that location?
It could be used, but we are not gonna use it.
I understand your use isn't that, but the space itself,
Okay.
would it be suitable for a daycare?
Yeah, absolutely.
How about a dry cleaner? Could you have a dry cleaner in there?
So what about this building makes it so suitable for a church? What's the hardship? Why do we need to change this building to a church?
Inside the building, inside the building, there is a big auditorium that we can kind of remodel for church. And also, we have several offices that we can use for, where children can meet, a lunch area, offices. So that's the reason why we consider this property.
But there's nothing unique about this property that situates or that
That
relates to it.
requires it.
Yeah, it requires that it be a church.
It's accessible, it's easy to locate, and also the neighborhood.
Okay.
Well, I think just to like piggyback off of it is like, we're talking about the parking spots. So, and how we're having issues with the parking spot requirement for a religious assembly in this specific location. So, for all of these other possible uses, and you mentioned that you looked at other sites, but did you look at other sites to buy? Not just like looking at other sites and what they were doing, but have you looked at other properties, that have 5,000 square foot and that have large rooms, right? Because you mentioned that that was a unique property of this building that had a large room. Are there other buildings in the township that might have large rooms?
The one we have seen so far, they don't have such. Most of them are offices that you have to kind of break. So,
Well, in your application, you said that you were going to do a lot of rehabilitation in the offices, like a lot of construction, actually.
yeah, we still, if it's approved, we still have to do some remodeling to make it suitable for a place of worship.
And would there be any taking down of any walls or enlarging of any rooms?
No, except the auditorium area, we'll still do the kind of breaking of some walls.
So you still have to make a larger room anyways for the auditorium and the,
For the auditorium, absolutely.
okay, but that's my point is like the argument was that there wasn't any other properties with a large room. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I guess we've,
One quick question. Your church is from Upland. Yeah. Borough. Why the move to Upper Darby? Why this specific location? Is there something specific? I know that you looked at other locations around Upper Darby. Is there a reason specifically for have you looked at locations in like Glen Olden or Fallcroft or
We did, also it's budget friendly.
budget friendly? Okay. All right.
Is this a better
Mr.
neighborhood from
Yeah,
where?
better neighborhood and budget friendly, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Beatty, I did it again. Any follow-up questions? Okay.
so is there any public comment? Or I guess, do you have a counter for any of the
We-
questions?
Yeah,
You didn't
hold on,
counter?
Mr. Beatty. Yes. Do you have any testimony that you would like to give on this application? Okay, so I'm going to need you to come back up here. We're going to swear you in, and then we're going to do some testimony. Just so you're aware, they are permitted to ask you questions as well after your testimony.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
And Mr. Beatty, could you sit in that chair and turn on that microphone so our lovely court reporter can hear you? Thank you, sir.
So I just heard you say that you talked to the community just 2 minutes ago. What community did you talk to?
I did mention, I talked to
What neighbors? You said neighbors,
in the garage for
No.
the store.
not the commercial. What neighbors have you spoken to?
No, those are the people I talked to. I didn't talk to any other person.
Okay. That was my only question.
Testimony.
Do you have any?
You're open to talk.
Yeah.
Just
About your situation, whatever.
Oh, okay. So the resident, which is 356 Owen, right next door to the property you're talking about, has always complained, because I talked to them and they're sitting over there, have always complained about parking currently. So adding anything additional to that, and they have young kids, she's pregnant. How do you think that they're going to feel now adding more cars when they already have car parking situations trying to get out in and out of their driveway, which is right the driveway that we're talking about?
I thought you were supposed to give testimony. You asked me a question again?
Yeah, I do appreciate your concerns. If I lived on Owen Avenue, I would be concerned as well, because you do have a lot of traffic through there. But I think you'd heard testimony tonight that we are going to make every effort not to park in that area. And unlike some of the other businesses that don't have any control at all over whoever comes into their shop, we do. We have the ability to make sure that people do not park there. And I think we can enforce that.
Will you be there, sir?
Pardon?
I said, will you be there?
I'd like to come there on occasion, yeah.
So I'm going to say this again. You guys have no idea the traffic problems that we have on Owen Avenue. Everyone, for 24 years, I have a business in this area. For 24 years, I've walked around the corner and talked to all the past, current business owners. They've all said that we've all had to drive our cars additional houses down when we had extra cars in our driveway because we didn't have parking. I have an 18-year-old son who has to park down because there's commercial residents, and we talking about Sunday, Monday, it doesn't matter. So I hear what you guys saying, but I live it every single day for the last 24 years. I can't see anything being a drastic
Okay,
change.
I can certainly appreciate that, but given that we have so few cars, Ben, would you agree to providing license numbers? And if you find those cars on Owen Avenue, let us know and we will make sure it doesn't happen
Are
again.
you aware that it's also apartment buildings on Garrett Road? It's also apartment buildings on Garrett Road. Above those commercial buildings, above them, there are apartment buildings above there.
Not all of them, because I did talk to them.
Right, but in the back, there's one parking space in the back for the owners of the commercial, but for the residents upstairs, they all park on Owen Avenue. Did you know that?
That would be the building where the clock shop is.
Right, but what I'm saying to you, Garrett Road is always full of cars, Sunday, Monday, because there's people that live in the apartment buildings upstairs that don't have the ability to park behind the building, so they park on Garrett Road.
We had a realtor go out on Sunday,
One day?
One day,
I said,
One day.
one Sunday,
and what we saw was virtually no cars.
one Sunday.
That was one Sunday,
I've been, that's do 24 times 365.
okay?
Well, whatever, how many Sundays in a year? I have enough.
52.
52 Sundays. So I've seen 52 Sundays for the last 24 years. I know what that block looks like on
Okay.
Sunday. I have nothing else to say. Thank you, guys. Beatty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other public comment, I guess, now? Did you have any questions for Mr. Beatty before we let him step down? Yeah, I know we were going back.
Yeah, no questions.
So now we'll do public comment. So you can step aside and then everyone, you can't ask questions to the applicants, but you can state whatever concerns or issues or positive feedback you may have for the application.
And Mr. Heeman, since this is a quasi judicial proceeding, we are going to get you to state your name and address again for the record, and then we're going to swear him in for public
Understood.
comment.
My name's Andrew Heyman, ANDREWHAYMAN, address 309 Edmonds Avenue, Drexel Hill. I do. It's weird being in this space again. I'm here just, I think most of you addressed questions or comments that I would have had, I guess, comments that I would have made here tonight. So this is a little bit more all over the place than I'm used to. You know, the gentleman just said here, and I apologize, I forget your name, sir, but we've heard a lot of testimony tonight stating that people won't park on Owen Avenue, but we've also heard a lot of testimony tonight that I would characterize as misleading or inaccurate or incomplete. For example, Upland Way is obviously not far, but Upland, Delaware County is 29 minutes away from here, according to current traffic conditions. And I find it very hard to believe when one of the members of this board can note a potential property that there was nothing that would have been sufficient between here and the 29-minute drive to Upland. That seems a bit dishonest, in my opinion. The block as it is today, the parking on Garrett Road is not necessarily representative of what parking is normally like in that vicinity. 2312 Garrett, which until not long ago was open, generally occupied every single spot. And I know many of us have been to that restaurant bar and have parked on Owen Avenue or made the dangerous jog across Garrett Road to access the building. And contrary to what was stated earlier in this hearing, Garrett is not a safe road to cross. It's a straight line, but there's an incline right there. So visibility is not great. Speeding is a major issue. It's so bad that we had a traffic study on Owen Avenue because of vehicles, partly because of vehicles coming on and off Garrett Road. to state that we want to be part of the neighborhood when you haven't talked to the neighborhood, to me, seems unfair. Just looking through here, you guys got most of my questions, I would say. Look, I think that covers most of what I wanted to talk about tonight. I'll leave you with this. You guys are doing great work, and thank you for serving. I obviously served on this board for a couple years, and it's tough. But I can tell you, as someone who has served on this board and who appreciates what the decisions that this board needs to make, I would make a motion to deny if I were in your position tonight. Thank you.
Any other public comment? You can come up to the microphone. Yes.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Can I have your name, please?
Ashley Taylor.
T-A-Y-L.
OR, yeah. I currently reside at 356 Owen Avenue, right next door to where he's potentially going to place his church. I just wanted to say that we've been living there for about 10 years, and we've been dealing with traffic concerns and parking concerns for those 10 years. We have a bunch of people that live in our house. So we have a lot of cars that occupy the spaces. Currently, the driveway, our driveway, can house about 3 cars. And we currently have 4 cars to our residence right now. So my brother, if he does not get home quick enough, he has to find parking on the street, which is almost impossible, because if you go up that shared driveway, there are apartments. People live back there. And also with the Garrett Bar, I think that's what it's called, they also have trucks that come in and out of there all the time, and we've dealt with them scratching the cars and all of that. So when he's saying about him having his church van, that raises a concern for me as well, because I mean, how we park, it's tight. It's really tight. Also, there is, I can't speak for them, the businesses that's behind there, but there is a dumpster that's leaning up against our fence, and the trash truck comes in and out of there all the time too. So that's another concern when they're turning in, being as though they have that median, and the median is so tight in the middle of the street, Garrett, when they're turning in, and if I'm parked on that, if I'm parked on our driveway, we have issues with the scratching, and, you know, also we are currently dealing with issues with people parking in front of our house that blocks our driveway. So with all of that being said, we're dealing with that right now. When he says that he's going to bring a church, I go to church and my church is held any time of the week. We also have baby showers that happens at our church. We also have weddings that happen at our church. So when you are in churches, and well, how I've learned, they are there for the public and to, you know, potentially grow. So I don't know that, you know, you saying that you have 10 parishioners that are adults. Is it going to always be 10? Is it going to grow to 50? And once it happens, where are they going to park? What's going to happen with our parking and how everything is going on right now? And yeah, I'm pregnant, obviously. I'm really concerned about things like that, because getting in and out of the car, getting in and out of my house and going to and from the hospital and to doctor's appointments, that's a big thing for me. So that's why I'm here. That's just all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Yes, sure. I'll have have my little word here today. Hello.
State your name, please. Do you
Yes,
swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can I have your name, please?
Christopher Mann,
Please spell your last name.
Mann. Not to reiterate everything that you've heard already, but in regards to the traffic on Owen Avenue, I've been there since 2017, and I've had my vehicle hit 4 times on that block due to the traffic that comes down that block. I had the mirror knocked off, I had a side swipe twice, and of course, they're all hit and run. Nobody stops, no, you can't get anything from anybody. I am in the one house on that end of the block, close to that corner that has no driveway, so I have to park on the street. I can't park off the street. So for me, to have more traffic coming to that block and people parking there, sometimes I have to walk from the middle of the block to get back to my house. Yeah, and there's no parking on my side of the street. It's only on one side of the street. On the even side of the block, we can only park on that one side anyway. So, oh, yeah, well, of course, and I have 2 of my children have cars, so we have 4 cars just from my house alone. But like I said, with no driveway, we all have to park on the street. So this issue with a church coming and possible more traffic coming to that block would be a hindrance for living on that block and disrupt the neighborhood, the residential part of that community right there. Thank you. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, so I think we'll probably head back into an executive session for a minute. So we're going to go off the record.
Thank you.
Parties are not here. Where's the,
Okay, so we are going to go back on the record. We did meet in executive session to talk matters of law related to this case. So I guess at this point, we've heard all the public comment, testimony. Do you want a closing statement?
Yeah, we might have some additional testimony. We have the Realtor here for the property, if you would permit her to speak.
What will she be testifying to?
He will be testifying to the back alleyway, the fact that there are 2 parking spots after you turn the corner.
Okay. We can hear it. That's fine.
Yes, ma'am. Lori, Lori Livingston. Livingston. Sure. Oh, so I was trying to clarify, the signs on side of the building actually say private parking, violators would be towed. It has signs on the front. It has signs on the building that say private parking and that violators would be towed. So the no parking signs are not associated to like somebody from the township, it's from the owner of the building. The present owner of the building, it's been vacant for several months. So right now it's been a vacant dental office with all the plumbing fixtures still intact to the building. So it wouldn't be a residential use at the present moment. Anybody that would purchase the property would require a variance for any type of use, any kind of business use.
can you speak into the mic?
And additional parking spaces in the back?
Yes, so there's, well, it's about, they're not marked, but I'm sure if you mark the parking spots, there's about 8 across the building. There's enough space to do the turnaround for additional, 2 cars on the side before the Vern. And then if you go around the building, there are 2 additional parking spots on the back of the building that don't exceed the residents from the sides of Garrett Road that come back and park in the back of the building. The trucks that are talked about is there's evidently a resident back there that has a big truck for, I'm guessing, their business use.
So those 2 parking spots could be.
On the
you
back.
Go back the alleyway and turn.
Yeah, you have to turn right. That's where there's another no parking sign.
So I have a question, I have a question then about those. Are those legally striped as parking? And is there enough cartway to have the access way? So again, do you have the proper size of parking spot as well as the proper drive aisle?
The whole parking lot needs to be striped. I think that how it's parked right now, you could guess 6, but if you do the actual, 9 by 6 foot spots and you actually have it lined, you probably could get 10 on the one side alone. And then the 2 additional would be lined.
Do you have the proper drive width?
The
If you're
proper
parking
drive
up
width, yeah.
along the building and you take a 9 by or 10 by, I don't know what the required parking,
It's like 9 by,
9 by 18.
9 by 18.
yeah.
So you have 9 feet. Is there also, what do you need, 12 feet for the drive aisle?
One-way drive aisle should be 12 feet.
So
I didn't
technically,
measure
it
that,
would
so
be two-way because there's no way to
didn't-
access
Yeah, I
it.
don't know. I didn't measure that. I mean, I could see like how somebody would be able to, pull back, but I don't know what the feet
So it's
is.
not one-way, so you would actually need 24 feet plus 9 feet. So you would need,
Well, not if you
33
park
feet.
diagonally in the building. No.
because you have to have a
I-
egress and you have to be able to drive 2 ways, right? There's no other way out of that area. So you have to have 2
So
lanes.
you're telling me that everybody that parks in that alleyway,
not
because there's
saying-
only a couple, actually don't conform because not one of them have a turnaround?
I'm just
Of
saying.
24 feet.
Right, so if you're going to legally stripe them as parking, I'm asking if they can meet the legal requirements for parking. So the legal requirements for
Well, that's an
parking,
assumption that those would get marked as legal parking.
well, you're stating on the record that they're legal parking spaces. So my
Oh,
question
no, I'm
is, are
saying
they
that you
legal?
can park on that side of the building. I didn't say they were legal parking spots. I just said you can park. There even is a sign on the side of the building.
But they may not meet the legal definition of a parking space.
You are correct. I cannot assume that there's a certain amount of turnaround that is not, what I measured for.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. I had a question for the gal.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Lori? Was there an easement to allow them to go down the alleyway? Or do they have to leave the alleyway open?
That is correct. It appears that there is an easement, the alleyway easement for
So it has to
those
stay
residents.
open. It can't be used as a parking area.
Well, not where the location on the other side of the building, the alleyway there appears to a certain feet. There is a setback from the building to allow that alleyway back there.
Thank you.
So Lori, before you go, okay, I wasn't going to ask this, but I'm curious. So you're saying there is an easement attached to the deed that says that those spaces behind the building, outside of the 6 on the side of Owen, are dedicated to that property? You're
No, I'm saying
testifying
that there is an easement, a public easement in the back of the building for that alleyway.
There, but public.
It's not,
But is it a legal,
Is it a public easement?
it's a public easement, that's correct. It's not associated to the
So-
building.
So it's a
Right.
public
There's a
alley-
difference
right,
as a
so-
public alleyway,
So
right?
anyone
Or
within
can
that,
park there.
anyone within that, anyone could park back there.
businesses or the apartment buildings, anyone can park back
It's-
there.
it's a
not
right-of-way
designated.
easement,
The
correct.
easement isn't attached to the deed to that property.
That is correct. It's a public easement that's a right-of-way
That's
for
what I
the
wanted to know.
access to the rear of those buildings in Garrett Road.
So just to clarify for the record, and I'm sorry, I'm sure you've answered this a million times. The easement permits the alleyway.
Correct,
The alleyway leads to 2 spots on the opposite side of the building.
correct.
Those are not striped spots, so they may or may not be within the legal requirement of meeting parking spots in Upper Darby Township.
That is correct. I don't know what those requirements specifically are, to be honest.
Perfect. Thank you. Before you leave, Mr. Beatty. Thank you. You're good to go. Thank you. Did I get it right?
Okay, so, closing statement.
Public comment, since we took additional
Okay,
testimony.
any additional public comment? Okay, closing statement.
Okay, we certainly do understand that there's a parking problem. And there's been a parking problem for a long time, and it will undoubtedly continue. I think the issue here is whether what our use would like to be will contribute additional problems. And I'm thinking that since there's going to be use of 1 day per week on a Sunday, when normally there's not too many people around, and we do have parking spaces on the property, there's definitely 6 in front. There may be an additional 2 that can be snuggled in beyond that. There may be some parking possibly along the side and 2 parking spaces in the back. We have a congregation that is limited. There's only 15 adults who total have only 6 cars, and there's a church van which can take 15. and there may or may not be parking spaces available on Garrett Road. Certainly, the Realtor went out and took the pictures that I gave to you in the packet, and that showed hardly any cars at all. Could there be other days when there are parking problems? Yes. There are parking spaces across the street. We understand the problem now of crossing. If we got use of this building, we would certainly petition for a crossway. We've been advised, I think, by your board that there may be opportunity to park not too far away on the same side of the street. So I'm thinking that this hopefully will alleviate a lot of any additional problems that could be created. So I don't, and again, we're very sensitive to Owen Avenue. We've offered to make sure none of the parishioners park there, and we do have control over them. And we've offered to provide license plates if there are any transgressions. So we've done just about all we can for Owen Avenue. And based on that, we're requesting that the two variances be issued. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Real quick, would you like to move these into the record?
Yes, please.
So moved.
Thank you.
Any closing statements from the party? If you want closing statements, you can have closing statements as well.
I just want to say, piggyback.
Please come up to the mic.
Okay, real quick, because I know you guys are tired. I'm tired. I'll be 55 on Saturday. I grew up in the church. I've never seen a church occupied just on one day. Like she said, there's always baby showers, weddings. I own 3 businesses. I couldn't pay rent for something I'm only going to use 4 times a month. That just does not sound reasonable at all. At all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that closes all the testimony.
Yes.
This is my thinking. If that property was used as a dental office, I don't know for how many years now, and I believe they had clients, they have customers coming over there for those past years. So I believe the people, the neighbors, they were able to accommodate them. So, and I don't see any reason why they cannot accommodate a church.
So I will, at this point, make a motion to deny application 8-3 of 23. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So the motion was denied.
Good. Thank you for your consideration. Appreciate that.
You'll receive a written decision within 45 days. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the final application of the night. Appeal. Yep. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna, I was just kind of letting everyone leave.
Hi.
Give us 1 second.
Okay, so we have Appeal 8-4 of 23, application of, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name. Is it
Shu Jing
Kin Chen?
Chen, yeah.
Okay, for a variance from section 550-39B1 to permit a 6-foot-high fence and a 3-foot-high fence in the front yard. This property is situated at 3001 Hillcrest Road in Drexel Hill, PA. It's in the R1 Residential District and in the 3rd Council District.
Okay, I'm gonna wait for that door to shut. And then I'm gonna enter a few exhibits into the record. ZHB 1 is going to be the application, ZHB 2 is going to be the notice photos, and ZHB 3 is going to be the proof of publication. Is anybody here seeking party status regarding this application tonight? Looks like I got 3. All right, if you would not mind stepping to the side, and then one at a time, if as orderly as possible. And then if you filled out your forms, I would love to have it. Thank you.
Stephen, E-B-E-N, Korinsky, K-R-Y-N-S-K-I, 442 Forest, F-O-R-R-E-S-T Avenue, Drexel Hill.
I'm sorry, real quick, what was your address again?
442.
442. And how close are you to the subject property?
100 feet, roughly.
About
The
100
only,
feet.
the only gap is his front yard. So we're all neighbors.
Got it,
They're either side, and then there's his house, then my house.
got it, okay. I would make a recommendation that the board accept this party status.
So
I would also,
their property, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, she has to type.
so I would make a motion to approve the party. All those in favor? Aye. So you're accepted as a party.
Okay. The only thing I was going to say is.
You can wait, we'll hear their testimony first, and then we take party comments.
Thank you.
Your name and address?
Tina Angelo, and it's 3015 Hillcrest Road.
And your location to the subject property? You're
Right beside the
right
property.
next door?
Next
Okay,
door.
I would make a recommendation to accept the party. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Charles Gilligan, 436 Forest Avenue, right next door. Gilligan.
Okay, I would also make a recommendation to accept the party. All those, or second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
So first, we'll take the applicant's testimony, and then we'll get to each of the parties.
Hi, my name is Cindy.
Yes, can you
Yes.
please swear them both in?
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Can I please have your full name?
Cindy Zhang, C-I-N-D-Y, last name Z-H-E-N-G.
C-H-E-N-J?
E-N-G, I mean, first name C-I-N-D-Y, last name Z-H-E-N-G. Yeah.
And your name, please?
Oh, Xu Qingchen, S-U-E-Q-I-N-G-C-H-E-N.
So you can go ahead and state why you're requesting relief and what's going on at this property.
Yeah, so we're looking for to build a fence in front of our house. So 3 years ago, we built the fence to replace the existing high tree and bushes. And the fence is also used for privacy protection and noise reduction from the trolley, because our house is like right in front of the trolley. Also, so our property, it doesn't have much land because it was divided in separate pieces surrounding the house. That's why we want to like build the fence to encircle a piece of the land for ourselves.
Okay, is that your testimony. So is the fence is already, it was already constructed?
Yes. So 3 years ago, we did come into the township and asked if we could build the fence. And also there wasn't a permit required at that time. So I'm not sure, like 3 years after, we had to come to the court for this. And yeah,
So when you went to the township 3 years ago,
yeah,
they told you that you didn't need a permit?
yeah, we didn't
And
need a
did they
permit.
give you any regulations or requirements for the fence that you were to follow?
No.
They just
They-
said you could
they
build the
just,
fence?
Yeah, they didn't say we can't build the fence, so we just go ahead and start building it. And after like 3 years ago, they said, like there's a permit required. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Do you have any like emails or communications between yourself and the township, or was it a verbal conversation? Like the 3 years ago when you asked about the fence?
No, we came into the township.
And I just a couple clarifying questions. When you bought the house, was the, what was it? The tree wall, not tree, but bush wall, was that there when you bought it?
Yes, when we bought the house, it's like high tree and bushes. It caused like a lot of insects and mosquitoes like that. Also, it's like a wooden fence that was like broken, so we decided to replace it with the fence, PVC fence that we're using right now.
And how high were the bushes?
So it's like, I'm not sure really tall, but it's like it reaches the roof of our house. Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, the bushes is kind of like, I'm not sure exactly how tall, but it's like reaches, but it reaches the roof. It's like pretty tall.
So pretty tall.
Yeah, it's like above 6 feet.
And when you're inside your house, can you hear the trolley as it goes by?
Yes, we can, because like it's right in front of our house.
And can you still hear it with the fence up?
We can't say we won't like hear anything, but it does help a little.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have right now.
How tall is the fence that you wish to build?
3 feet. It's a 3 feet and a 6 feet fence.
Could you repeat that?
3 feet. 3 feet and 6 feet.
Why the two heights?
Because the 3 feet one is around the corner, surrounding the corner. The 6 feet is like right in the middle of the one-way street. So, I can show you the picture if you want.
Pictures that you want to hand in?
We'll mark that photo as A1, just for the record.
So this is the current
Yes, this is the current
look
one.
of the fence.
Or you want the old one too? This, 这个两个 two.
And
We'll mark the photos collectively as A1.
so, and these other two photos are what the property looked like 3 years ago.
Yes. Yes.
What is behind the 6-foot fence that requires it to be 6 feet?
六次里面需要什么？就是你们有什么？
六次里面的话是一个北呀，
哎，
对呀，那最大的面积就是这个。
So it's just like a land that we can use for sometime we can put like a pool, like a small swimming pool. Sometime we can plant something like tomatoes and scallion.
And do you get a lot of pedestrian traffic on that street? Like a lot of people walking by?
It's like the SEPTA trolley, and it comes like every few minutes or 10 minutes. So it's like constantly the whole day.
No, but I meant like people walking on the street. Because if I remember correctly, I'm familiar with the neighborhood. Like there's usually a lot of joggers, a lot of walkers constantly in front of the street.
Yes.
The trolley did run before you moved in there, right? I mean, you did see it.
I'm sorry, what's that?
You did see and recognize that the trolley existed beforehand, before you moved in.
Yes.
他说那个 trolley 我们搬进去之前去。
So, a couple quick follow-up questions. Would you say that many houses in Upper Darby have trolleys running very close to their yard?
是的，他说那个 Upper Darby 里面是不是很多房子前面都有 trolley？ 没有吧？
没有。I'm not sure.
Okay. Is there anything else about your property that's unique? I saw that in your application, you mentioned you have 2 front yards.
Yes. So it's like the one on the left and
left and right.
So you have 2 front yards then?
yes, like right and left.
Yeah.
And the 6-foot fence, is that fence built on the address on the front door portion of your home?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And, Mr. Zoning, is that, am I correct in assuming that that is the specific portion that we are here about today?
Yes, so anything right on that side of the fence, including anything along the one-way street, which Hillcrest, right, technically is prohibited 3 foot and 6 foot.
Okay, thank you. And you stated you needed the fence for privacy.
Yes, privacy protection.
What are you seeking privacy from?
So because like right in front of our house is the trolley, people can see our house every through the whole day.
So the people on the trolley can basically see in your windows?
Yes, and also we don't have a yard to ourselves because there's like separate, the lands were separate into pieces. Compared to our neighborhood, they do have like a yard, at least like a backyard, or sometimes like a front yard that's large and big, but we don't.
So your yard doesn't look like everybody else's?
Yeah, it's a weird house.
Thank you.
I have one other question. So the 6-foot section of fence that's kind of enclosed, does it block any sight distance of anyone leaving their property? Like, is there, like, if they were in their driveway, the neighbor, would that fence block them from seeing left or right onto the road?
No, because there's still like a sidewalk that is, they can like, when they back up, they can use this, they can like look over like the sidewalk, they can still see like cars coming.
Okay, so they can pull up and the sidewalk, there's a distance between where the fence is and the sidewalk.
Yes.
就是我们是那个公寓的那个过去。
Okay, any other board questions? Okay, so we can bring up each of the party and you can ask the witness, or excuse me, the applicant, any questions that you have for them.
We probably did not know.
I'm sorry, I need your name and can you come up here?
All right, so my name's Charles Gilligan. This is the first time we've ever been here. So we probably should not have been an interested party. We probably should have been a public comment group, right? So we're not contesting anything they're doing. We're actually here in support. So we
Okay.
probably
Okay.
miss.
So do
what
we
did
want to,
earlier.
Yeah, you could certainly stay on as
All right.
party and then just make your comment now.
All right, so comment is, understand why they're doing what they did. Before there were some bushes there, the bushes were way overgrown. So what they did, they need a little privacy. So the trolley comes by, a lot of people go there. So they can't sit out in that part of the yard. They could not sit out and not be open to the public. Some people like that. I'm a front porch guy, some people aren't. So what they did, as neighbors, we don't really find any issues. The only one that would actually impinge any view would be Tina's, but there is the sidewalk that you can see, so there's no problem with traffic or anything like that. What they've done is they made themselves a nice garden, very presentable. They want to enjoy the outdoors, but they don't want to have to deal with a ton of people coming in looking at them, right? It's a little bit of privacy that everybody wants when they're sitting outside, you know, so I know we got rules for this, but if you actually go and look on Huey, right a couple blocks down towards Shadeland, there's 4 houses in a row with picket fences and privacy fences up to the curb. So did it there, should be no reason why they couldn't do it there. And if they're actually asked the township already to come after the fact, it's a little disingenuous. So either the people in the building here don't know what they're talking about and said you're okay, you don't need permits, they did what they're supposed to do. Now you're telling them that they can't have them. Seems a little unfair, right? So they thought they did things out of honesty and what they thought they were following the rules. They need a little privacy. Us as neighbors, I'm not speaking for them, but we talked about this. We see no problem with this. So that's basically what I have to say.
Thank you.
Real quick, Mr. Gilligan, one minute. Did we swear him in? We're gonna swear him in real quick. You got off to the bat real quick.
I'm sorry. I've been known to do that.
Raise your hand, please. Do you swear that the testimony that you just gave?
Truth, and truth. I do.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. All right, let's swear you in.
Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Can I have your name again, please?
Tina Angelo.
I live at 3015 Hillcrest Road, I am right beside them, and my house does face onto Hillcrest Road. And I just want to explain your question. You asked why one section was 6 feet, one section was 3 feet. There is a approved fence that comes down between the two properties. So when they carried that to make a doorway for them, that's why that's 6 feet. And there was originally a concrete wall going farther down the property, which is why then that 6 feet became 3 feet. I am also that person who needs to pull out of her driveway. And I'll be honest with you, originally I was concerned about that, but it has not caused any problems at all. And it's easy to get out, and the fence looks beautiful and nice, and they've done nothing, but every effort they've made has been to improve the look of that property. I also want to share with you that there are a lot of really, really old trees that were around that property. And at one point in a really bad storm, one of those trees kind of came right to their house. So they had to take down that tree. So a lot of that foliage there has been there for decades and decades and decades. Our houses are very old. Good houses, strong houses, but old. And the trees around them, get old and die and fall down, and we don't want them to hit the houses. So I live there. I'm the one probably that's most affected by this of anybody, because I really don't have any other next door neighbor but them. And I think everything they've done to that property so far has been to make it look prettier, better for the neighborhood. They've got flowers everywhere. They really care. They care about their property, and that's what I think all of us in the neighborhood want to make sure that people do, is care about their property, have it look nice, shovel the walks, cut the grass, and grow pretty things. Okay? You're welcome. Oh, anything for me? Any other questions?
Nope, that's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
No, I don't know. if it's-
No, we
I-
didn't swear him in.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Your name again, please?
Stephen Karinsky, Krynski. I'm going to echo exactly everything that they said, but to have an appreciation for what they have in front. It's almost like 10, 12 feet before you dump out on the street. And that street is only one way. And that's literally 8, 10, 12-foot wide street. And then you dump down on the trolley tracks. I mean, literally, they could stand in the front of their yard if that fence wasn't there and have facial recognition on everybody that's on the trolley. Although there is some scrub brush there, but still, that's how close that they are. And everything that they have done to the house and to the neighbor. I've been in the neighborhood for 28 years now. Tina's been there a little bit longer, Charlie a little bit less. So we're the old guys and ladies on the block. And we love them and neighbors, and we love what they've done so far. And I understand you have ordinances and you have zone, you know, but if you were to see where this is, they are not impacting anybody with what they did. They've only improved the property tremendously from what was there before. There was two elderly ladies that lived there. They never took care of the house. The house was run down, and they've done nothing since they've been there but improve the neighborhood.
Thank you. Okay.
Any public comment?
Any other public comment? I think we heard from everyone that's left, so that should be it. So I will make a motion to grant appeal 8-4 of 23. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
No.
Okay. 2-1, motion passes. So you're granted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your time, too.
Thank you for waiting for 2.5 hours.
Thank you.
See you just once a month?
That's what neighbors do.
Very nice neighbors. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I said 9 feet.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's like, do one, you do all, that's what it's thinking.
But to be fair, that's what.
Right.
Did she have any
Right,
record?
right.
I didn't, did you,
She did not have any records.
she did not have any record of it. So it's her word. I'm not saying she's wrong.
Well, she
But
said
he
she'd
said-
tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
She look honest, she look
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those favor? Aye. Sorry, Bridget.